A little bird told me that there's another cartoon video, I guess you could call it, animated video. I didn't bother to watch it, but I was informed it was of the same subject matter of me being gay or effeminate or something like that. Don't you know any other note on your French horn? Surely you must have something else in your repertoire. Oh. Yeah, of course I'm not going to bother watching it. It's just tiresome. Well, time to don the fez. Greetings, fellow citizens. This is Citizen Kong, and welcome to another Fez Night. Tonight's Fez Night shall be called Flag This Fez Night. Well, I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. I saw something, I was reading some stuff in the news, and there was a story in the LA Times about Colorado and their legalization of marijuana. And apparently there's a big influx of outsiders, fat cats, MBAs, people with deep pockets, ready to make some money going into the state. So here we have the group of people that actually know something about pot, that know how to grow it, with little or no business acumen, meeting the business guys who know absolutely nothing about growing pot. I doubt they even smoke it. But here, cheers to Colorado. Meanwhile, well, cheers. Meanwhile, California, there's a big muckety-muck mire of problems with the dispensaries. I guess the California courts are going to decide whether local counties, cities, can ban dispensaries altogether. I really think California, it's just a big mess. California needs to take a lesson from Colorado. Colorado has done a very good job of creating a legislature where the regulations are in place. In order to open up a store or dispensary, you have to have a background check and pay the state a certain amount of money. And the growing is being regulated, and which it needs to happen because some unscrupulous growers are going to use all kinds of crazy pesticides and genetically modified pot that may not, well, definitely the pesticides are not good for you, and there's a lot of dubious things that can happen. The process of cloning involves a chemical process at one point. I remember reading about this back in the day when I was doing some growing. I never wanted to go that route, but the first you treat the seeds with this chemical. It's been so long ago I don't remember, but that allows to modify the genes. But that first crop with those chemically altered seeds, you do not want to smoke. You do not. It's the second generation of those seeds that you proceed with. And I'm sure they probably still use that process, but an unscrupulous grower will probably sell that stuff to the public. I don't know. Regulation, just like our food and drugs. I think, if we put marijuana regulated, I'm for regulation on many things. It would be better for all. And think about the tax revenue, right? Although California seems to be doing okay. I'm sorry to talk so much about California, but that's what was on the news that caught my eye. It was interesting to me. So far for our high-speed train, that there's been a lot of controversy over. I guess they have the money, but they haven't bought any property for it. But I'm all for trains of any kind, except maybe those other trains because it's sort of exploiting women. No, it's not. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. Only a misogynist would support that. I want to give a shout out to Napalm Blue. I just want to give you a shout out. I want to say that even though we disagree on many things, I do appreciate your intellect and your ability to articulate an argument, which is rare, which is rare on YouTube. Instead of the name calling and the blustery whatever, making things up out of thin air. Of course, I wouldn't. I shouldn't expect intellect from any of that ilk. I should not at all. It's obviously not. Guess that's about it. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad for this amazingly short Fez Night? Yeah, I'm still watching movies. There's a lot of movies I watch that I somewhat, I enjoy. It bothers me, the rating system on Netflix. When you rate each movie, and what movies you do watch, Netflix, I guess, has an algorithm or whatever you would call it, a program that determines, tries to guess what you enjoy. But their rating system, I think it's like 4 stars, which means like you really, really like it, or is it 5 stars? You really like it, really, really like it, 4 stars that you really like it, 3 that you like it, 2 that you don't like it, and 1 that you hate it. They need a middle one in there, this meh. And that's for me, so many films I watch. I'm neutral on it. Almost, unless it's absolutely awful. Almost every film has something interesting about it. Something. So it's hard for me to say, for many of these films I watch, that I completely dislike them. I watched a movie called Blood. The Last Vampire. It was Japanese. And I won't bother making a separate review for that. I was back in the mood for another horror flick. Lately I've been in the mood for historical time period pieces. And I watched one. I'll get back to Blood a little bit later. What was it called? World Without End. And it was a mini-series. And it dealt with the beginnings of the 100 Years' Wars. And the one in-depth history class I took was Western civilization, so it just skimmed over so much, and it went up to World War II, the end of World War II. So I don't know all that much about British history. That's not my main interest in British culture. British culture started for me with the music and the fashion and most of all, the cars, the automobiles, and other things. When I was a kid, the school I went to, there's all this ethnic diversity, and the Mexicans would sport Mexican flags, and I talked to my dad. We had a family history book, talked about family history coming over from the UK around, I think it was the 1800s, settled in Pennsylvania. And so, my ethnic pride is I started sporting a Union Jack. And then soon other people were following suit. And it wasn't about white pride, no, it's about your own ethnicity. And I started seeing Swedish flags and Irish flags. It was wonderful. Yeah, I had somewhat of amount of exposure in middle school and high school. I don't mean to brag, but I was involved in student government, which is really a nerdy thing, but I guess it's less nerdy than the AV Club. Yeah, so I enjoy that historical stuff, beginning of the Hundred Years' Wars, something of King Edward II and Queen Isabella and Civil War in England and the attempt, was it King Edward's son? Was it the third? I don't know. I'm bad with numbers. But it was more of had little to do with actual history. There's just a thin framework, and you have to remember with these movies, you have to. It's good to have a little knowledge, and I wish I had more. But it was obvious there was all these characters and drama, and how the boy can't have the girl because they were going to hang her as a witch. A lot of hanging and accusations, and boy, was the church corrupt. The local priory, the local one guy that was running the show, very, very corrupt. And that whole thing that you see with people that are in denial of their carnal desires, it has outlets in other ways that are just horrible, just horrible. Blood Vampire was good for a Japanese flick, and it wasn't all dubbed. It was actually done in cooperation with a UK filmmaker and somebody else. There was 3 countries involved, and so they used a lot of American actors. I'm not sure it wasn't even an American company, but for some reason it took place on a military base in Tokyo. Much of the action, and of course there was a lot of choppy sake and samurai swords and limbs being severed and heads being chopped off and bodies being split. Just good fun. The plot was really bad, but I was pleased with the look. They did a great job of it. Takes place in the early 70s. They did a great job of creating that 70s look. And there's an interesting theme with Japanese films is the young girl in the Japanese girl in a schoolgirl uniform, kicking ass. I don't highly recommend it, but it's one of the better Japanese bloodfest samurai type movies that I've seen. All right, this is Citizen Kong. Better wind it up. Yes. Thank you for watching Flag This Fez Night. You all know what I'm talking about, right? Flag This Fez Night. Cheers.